All right, so I don't want to get people's hopes up here, but the Legend of You Pudding, I made a video on him 2 weeks ago, and is pretty epic. The Legend of You Pudding is a guy who's around 2K, 2K1. Okay, could have signed up for this event if he wanted to, and done pretty well. He's a player who plays Sicilians, and he's got a strat designed around it. Okay, he's Taiwanese. And when I reached out to someone from Taiwan to gain a little bit more information about You Pudding, I was told, as I think I mentioned in the video, that the many Taiwanese players were trying to develop the best Sicilian strategy for open land maps. And You Pudding ended up, being the guy who came up with that. But is there a chance? Like, you had Franks available. You chose not to go Franks. Pretty good civilization on a Scout Rush map, which is what this is. Is there a chance that he tries to go for sergeants here? I mean, maybe a new meta thing here. You're up 2-1. I also think the more realistic thing, the more realistic reason that we're probably seeing the Sicilians is due to the fact that they resist bonus damage. So, resisting bonus damage can be really nice if you're making knights against camel civs. Now, I won't tell you who told me this quote, and this quote would have been from another player, okay? But someone told me they spoke to another player. These are players who are playing in Silver League. And someone said, Sicilians is busted on that map. Because everyone goes for camel civilizations. And I was just like, really? Are they really busted? Like, I haven't really seen it yet. But yeah, so another player has the thought process that Sicilians are really good on this map because everyone goes for camel civ. Because usually it's full wall into fighting for map control with knights, and then people started to go for camels. This is a weird Kilimanjaro generation because normally there's stone and gold on the hill. This is like, I guess it's still town centerable, but it's awkward. And then the stone to the left side, I kind of like it. Like this is going to be fun. But, it's going to be tougher for the players to adapt to what they're seeing here. New Trisis does negating bonus damage also apply to elevation? I don't think it does, but I honestly didn't think of that till now. I think the way it's worded, it could technically be, but yeah, I don't know. Anyways, pretty big wood lines as far as Kilimanjaro is concerned here for red. So if he's looking to get the walls down, things should work out quite nicely. This is more what I considered standard for Eli. He just has fewer trees, but he could easily wall this up, have stone and gold behind. And the trees do have 150 wood per tree for both, so definitely feels like there's an extra little clump of trees here for red. But this gold being forward could be problematic for him. Both players making their mill on the 2 shorefish, which is definitely a feature of this map. You also do have the berries, but many players have learned to skip the berries because villagers on shorefish brings in the food faster. We'll probably still see the berries later on. And this has been a fun series, man. I'm going to be casting 2 more today for those that are looking to stick around or people who are looking for videos. I guess for people who might be watching in YouTube form later, this is one of 10 additional sets. Well, it's one of 11 total sets for the deciders. By now, though, you would have also are already seen Cyclops versus Gibbetong be up on the extras channel. So, all right, walling is expected, and that's expected from both players. Eli up a little bit faster here. He hasn't really even scouted his opponent yet. He just wants to get as much food underneath his TC as possible. And this is pretty common on this map. So Eli was Berbers versus Magyars when he beat Pella in Game 4 to win that series 3-1. And he had gone for scouts, into walls, into knights. That game was a lot more complex than that. The opponent also went scouts into walls, but then freaked out, realizing Berbers could dominate with cheaper stable units. So went forward, went for towers and scouts. It was actually very fun, but... Oh, we're going to see... Are we going to see a dungeon? I actually forgot what I had said earlier. Or is he going to go for a barracks? I think he might donjon here, guys. I think he donjons his gold. Remember, the donjon can make spearmen. And then it can be used as a prerequisite for a stable in an archery range. This might be one of the instances where the context that I bring to you guys in Dark Age was spot on. Remember, the Taiwanese players working with Sicilians. Donjon, right? You need spears, right? Donjon. Dang. A weird spot to donjon, honestly. Is he going to make sergeants too? I think you have to full wall, though. Scouts can still run right by. I feel like it's very foolish not to do so. It can make spears since when? Since like 2 patches ago. If you know me, Deadly Cookie, I was so disappointed in the balance of the Sicilians when they introduced the Civ. Because no one was going for the donjon, but they tried to tweak it a little bit, right? And they made it so now the donjon can be used as a prerequisite for a stable in an archer range, and it can also make spears. So he's going archers, spearmen, and he's got the donjon to protect the front of his base. I don't like this positioning. I think you should position it on your gold. But this is certainly different. And Eli is confused right now. He was pushing deer. He's trying to find his opponent. And he is... I guess that honestly, both players are probably confused. It looks like Red also was trying to find Eli for quite a long period of time. But yeah, Eli's making quite a few spearmen because he's expecting a scout rush here, and it is not a scout rush. He still didn't find him. But, I mean, he has to use process of elimination now and know his opponent's over here. Okay, so Eli's walling up, probably feeling a bit uneasy about the situation now. And he's going to see walls. Will he see the golds being mined? He will. Okay, so that will tell him archers, but he doesn't see it yet. And Red has realized I'm actually walled now, so I don't need to keep my military at home, and we're going to go forward. Oh, man, there's nothing more annoying when you've gone scouts. And then there's just like a couple archers with some spearmen. You almost always need skirmishers. Eli getting some hits in there. He saw the archer range and he sees the flag. So in his mind, as he actually patrolled this scout, and now surely he realizes now. But he might have been a little bit confused. We do have a sergeant. Oh, this is the you pudding influence. He's hiding the sergeant too. I don't think it's going to be full-on you pudding strat, though. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just watch the video. I also have to find time to record the next one before I head off to Australia, because he played some games that are even more epic with his strat. Donjons are pretty tanky when it comes to armor, so if your opponent's going skirms or whatever, it could be nice. In the end, Eli just abandons his berries. We have another sergeant on the way, folks. We have another sergeant on the way. Did you explain why Sicilians are good against camels? They resist bonus damage. Camels are a unit that have 6 base attack. 6 attack. It's not very good if you don't have bonus damage on top of it. But the fact that they take less damage from, or less bonus damage from camels is why you could argue Sicilians are a solid pick here. Because you can still make knights against a civilization that has camels. Guys, we have sergeants in competitive play. 1 win away from going into the top 48 in the world. And my man's making sergeants here. It's like a beefier, tankier man-at-arms, this unit. And you can make more donjons with it. That's the thing. That was what was so cool. And that's why when Sicilians came out and the devs were like, hey, here's a knight bonus for you. I was like, what? Come on. Like, this is so unique. The donjon, the sergeants. Come on, let's do it. And we're, you know, the dream is alive. That this could become some type of meta. I still think it's a little wacky. But people don't know what to do against this stuff, man. That's a lot of army. And Eli's got to be like, what? I think there's definitely a part of him, like anybody who faces this right now, who's just like, are you trolling me? Is this good? I don't think this is good. Look at their little shields go up and down when they build. It's so cool. Now, downside, obviously, you're spending, you've spent food and gold on the fletching upgrade for your archers. you are also spending food and gold on the sergeants. So your castle age time is delayed. Farming eco is pretty expansive, though. You do get more food on your farms after the farming upgrades with Sicilians. So Red's food eco is going to be great in the long run. Red could run underneath this TC. Eli needs to make sure that he doesn't just wall partially here. And I think Eli understood how dangerous that could have been for him if the units somehow were to run through. Red's still making archers. He's just attacking the front of Eli's base. Eli can go for knights. Where you pudding has shown that sergeants are the best guys is that early castle age window. Because their stats go up in castle, right? So that's the time you need to keep your sergeants alive till. That's the time you need to keep your donjons alive till. The difference between knights and between sergeants, and this is same with a lot of units, but the knights you can't create till you're in castle. But the sergeants you can create while you're on the way to castle. So he's going to click up to castle in a moment here. Has his buildings, right? Yep, there he goes. Now I expect more sergeants. I could be wrong, but I think it would feel natural to make... Oh, he's making spears too. Yo! Spears and sergeants. He wants to go pike, sergeant. But I don't think you want to be anywhere near these stables. No, that is scary. Whoever's in charge of sending these knights out are going to see you through the window here. He's chilling in there. He's reading a book and you just disturbed his nap. Don't be doing this. All right, there go the knights. Eli maybe looking to pressure the gold. Very hard to damage his opponent right now. That is a lot of spears and a lot of sergeants. I take it back. Wow, the production's insane. And he's going to make another donjon here. And in 70 seconds, he gets even more armor on the sergeants. Not to mention he can get the pikeman upgrade. So I think Eli needs to try and engage against this soon. I think he's going to force it now. I think... okay... There he goes. There he goes. This could work for Eli. He's against a lot of spears, sure, but it only gets worse when it's pikemen. Knights are cheap for him. Can he get the timings right? That's actually really good for Eli. Oh, man. And if Red would have just kept his numbers alive. If he wouldn't have left himself exposed there, I think in, 60 seconds, suddenly his army's unkillable. Now, Eli's got a big mass of knights. Still, this is going to be an issue for him. The, villager there, for whatever reason, wants to go on that farm. And well played from both players thus far. This has been an amazing series. Pikeman upgrade on the way for Red, and he will drop town centers at home. Eli wants in desperately right now, but Red sees it, and Red sees this as well. So now the sergeant is 75 HP and has 8 attack, which is way more than what he had previously. And there's pikes, so I don't think you can easily engage against that. I feel what would have been natural for Eli before the TC is actually a siege workshop here. Pressure the gold. Having siege can be helpful if this ever comes over to address you. Sometimes with Berbers, though, you just gotta take fights all the time with knights and hope to chew up the counter units. By the way, if you're ever in these positions, you need to delete these farms, guys. Because what happens is, let's say this guy finishes his farm. Even if you have auto farm on, they will not reseed that individual farm if there's free farms to take. So you're going to see a cycle of villagers just go underneath these donjons, which could be problematic. Oh, man. Speaking of problematic. Whoa, who's this problematic for? Do you see this? That's a lot of knights. Archers go in to kill vills, but that's a lot of knights. There's not enough pikemen. There's not enough sergeants. And all the donjons could go down if there's not more support. Pikes are on the way. So that could be good. But Eli's going to clear that group. Still, the donjons are pretty freaking strong, though. And there's 3 of them producing pikemen. Whoa. Yeah, you can't push that. The fact that you could produce pikes from them saves this position, I think. If you had to produce pikes from home, it would just take too long. He's going to be up to 20 pikemen. So Eli needs an attack to happen here. Normally what happens is, when your opponent's forward like this, I don't know how to describe this, actually. I don't know. It's just like oh so complicated to figure out what to do right now if you're Eli, because you can't engage here. I guess every time he's shown up here, there's been walls. There's this TC does build a bit faster for red. TC's going to go up. It's a good TC. 4 dungeons now. Firing on all these farms and firing on the gold. Eli has no gold income. Does he see the gold on the right? He does not see this. Should know it's a feature of the map, though. And oh, man, if these knights get in with all the pikemen forward, it could be such a big issue for Z40. But Z40 gets the stone walls down. Why not, right? You got to keep these knights out right now. Another unique game. I can tell you it's easier to play this game right now if you're red. Because these fortifications are no joke. You're denying gold on a map where it's hard to find gold. I wonder if Eli is going to build up towards a forward castle. Does red see any of this, by the way? Red could see the villagers dropping off stone on that mining camp. It almost feels natural for Eli. You can't castle here. The dungeons will range it. He's desperate because he doesn't have gold access. I think he tries to castle here. I could see that being denied as well if red notices. Crazy game. Red's checking the hill, maybe thinking Eli's over here. Remember, there's usually gold here. It is there, but red has missed out on it. Eli looking with those knights, prodding with these knights. These knights might actually break through. Villagers are quite a long ways away from this. Eli will soon have enough stone for a castle. On one hand, if it's offensive, it could be really strong. But on the other hand, as we see a perfectly timed gate there from red, you might want a defensive castle so you can make camel archers. And oh, he has had a gold here. My apologies. Okay, so this I don't mind. I think he also could have considered the hill if there was a gold there, but again, there's not. This is a good castle. And now he could consider camel archers. This hurts. Knights go down. And again, a very close game. Knights still could get a lot of value from Eli. He needs to make sure he keeps them alive. And, oh god, Sergeants found the eco. 3 villagers killed from red in this game. Surprised us not more. Total KD, still pretty close. Camel Archer's on the way for Eli. It's an amazing unit. No stone income right now for red. He's going to change that by dropping a town center here. Dang. I don't think it's easy for the Camel Archers to dominate. Well, let me reword that. I think it is extremely difficult to macro right now if you're Eli. Right? You've got dungeons on your face. Your TC will get shot down eventually. You have to micro your knights and Camel Archers a lot more than red just has to patrol its pikes. Red should climb significantly in the eco lead. But yes, Camel Archers, once they get to about like 5 to 10, can be very dangerous for red. Which is why I think red's going to probably buy a castle somewhere defensively. Oh god, he's dropping more dungeons! There's more of them! That's so good! How do you stop that? It's so amazing. The weakness of the Camel Archer, too, is you have to be in one spot with it at all times, right? And they still take bonus damage from pikemen. So you can't just, like, you know, you have to, look, hit, run, hit, run. How are you going to farm when you're doing all that? And then he looks somewhere else because there's sergeants underneath his TC, and now he's losing his town center to sergeants, guys. This is a new meta coming straight out of Taiwan, and it's beautiful. Unless your name is Eli, then it's probably very painful and embarrassing. But I think it's good. I really do. And I think it's going to win him the game right here. A big economic lead for red. He'll lose army here, which he'll be disappointed by. But Eli just doesn't have a good economy. It's just a horrible situation. Sergeants have 5 pierce armor in castle. And again, 75 HP, right? But 5 pierce armor means that the Camel Archers are still doing decent damage with 7 plus 2 attacks, so 9 damage. But your production buildings for the sergeants are towers that are pretty tanky. And you also have a tech in your castle that gives you a lot of free sergeants. But that's okay. Knight and Camel Archer. This should be really good for Eli. We still have a game. We still have a game. I think all the sergeants die here, right? They've got some extra tanky melee armor as well. There's also a monk. Can someone tell me the cost of a sergeant real quick? I don't think that's a bad trade. I guess, you know, they are cheaper knights as well from Berbers. But I think Eli expected a better fight there. I know I certainly did. And I think now that Red's realizing that Camel Archers could become an issue, now is where you drop that castle. And oh boy, I didn't mean right there. But he needs gold. Okay. Is he still going to build that one? I'm a little concerned. Eli wants to drop a castle too. Red, just make one defensive on your wood here, man. What a ridiculous game. Look at Eli's TC. His Ville's over here. He never found that golden stone. That would have been so nice for him. And Red's like, I'm Sicilians. I build castles 50% faster. This castle's fine. He's given up on the sergeants, though, guys. He's just going to go for light calf. And he will have to hope to avoid these camel archers, it looks like. Is Eli out of gold pretty soon? Well, I can't see this gold, so that's an option. Stone back there, too. Eli's got 8 on food, though. He's going fast imp. Makes sense. You're never going to compete with the economy at this stage. The best way to get benefit from your camel archers and your castles as soon as possible is go to the Imperial Age. Even just affording the bracer upgrade would make these camel archers a lot stronger. And then obviously Trebs would be huge as well. Oh, man, the eco's so rough. So difficult. And what this gives is Red time to get some of these other upgrades. But I don't think Light Cav is it, man. I like Light Cav if you wish to raid. Raiding makes a lot of sense. He doesn't know about this castle, so this is kind of a hard area to raid. If Eli was over here, Red would have found it, then he could raid. But the same theme is what we'd seen in the previous game, and this is going to end up being a great upload for the main YouTube channel as well, so if you didn't see the previous game, it was probably uploaded within the last couple days from the same series. But yeah, anyways, the theme is that Red has had the more economic situation. The difference, though, is that Red was very aggressive in this game, whereas he wasn't in the previous game. Is Sicilians a good civ to start with? I don't think it's a bad civilization to start with. Starting the game ultimately comes down to... I think the number one thing that you should try if you're looking to start out this game is pick a civ that you think is cool. Obviously, winning's fun, right? But the reality is, 95% of the player base, it doesn't matter about the civ. It just matters about how you're performing and playing in the game. This game's been around a long time. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. There's so many civs. Go through the civs. See what tickles your fancy, and then just stick with that. But I think Sicilians are pretty good because they have access to a lot of things, right? So they have good knights, they have good enough archers, good enough siege. But it depends what... The number one thing which should dictate that, I think, is just what you think would be fun. If you want options, Sicilians are very good, yes. If you want to be really annoying and confuse the crap out of your opponent, Sicilians are good too with this strat. No Imperial Age for Red. Guys, he's massing rams here. He's going light cap. I would like to see a few knights, possibly. I'm going to try and ram push this down. Now, he's got double the economy. If he takes out even a couple trebuchets and one castle, it could be game over. Because everything for Eli, and I mean everything, is all about camel archers and trebs right now. Red's going to lose a lot of units. He's lost a ton of units in this game. But all the units he's lost has given him time. And Eli's going to see that siege workshop, and he's going to see the light cav, and he's going to think his opponent's imping. Light cav running in to raid here. If they found the back area, it'd be nice. Eli did pre-wall that, though, which I think is very nice. Oh my goodness, there's 26 light cav with 11 more on the way. I think it would make sense to try and go for the Imperial Age right now if you're Red, but he just wants to push this back and maybe then he'll do it. Treb exposed, light cav going to die, but the camel archers have to back away, and Red says, screw your Trebs. I'm going to drop a castle right next to this. And if he takes out the mangonel from Eli, he will then have the rams in order to take out the castle from blue. And Eli's like, what? What is this? Where did this come from? Who is this player? What is this strategy? What is this game? Z40 has played so incredibly well in this series. He was the favorite here. I knew he would be well prepared. And, I mean, murder holes is coming in. If you see murder holes being researched at a high level, that tells you that something's gone wrong. Because usually players don't research murder holes, because if murder holes has any effect, they're probably... Like, if murder holes is needed, they're probably already going to lose that castle. It's probably already really bad for them. And this is an example of that. That was amazing. Someone says, the resource management hurts my soul. Well, what about the castle management? What about the map control? What about the eco balance? The eco balance is really good. He just doesn't... He didn't want to make knights. He clicks up to imp. It is in there somewhere behind villagers. And now, I do not see an easy way out of this for Eli. Because at all times, he has to protect his trebs. So if he has to stay near his trebs, then he can't raid the opponent. But he also has to raid the opponent. So he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Great damage control here from Eli, so he doesn't lose all those villagers. And he does what he has to do. Backs away onto the near the trebuchets right now. He'll keep those trebs alive. Those trebs are not going to be able to contest the castle. 2 minutes now until Red's in the Imperial Age. And I'm sure Eli's feeling it. I'm sure he knows that Red's eventually going to hit Imp, because he hasn't been able to hit Red's economy at all. Random rams ramming their way through here eventually. Eli also... That's his gold income. And just 14 Camel Archers. Camel Archer, a great unit, yes. The economy from Red is incredibly expansive. Still refuses to spend gold. I mean... Make knights, dude. Make sergeants, actually. Sergeants and then upgrading to elite sergeant would arguably be the better play, because they have really hard pierce armor when they're elite. But oh man, this hurts so much if you're Eli. And obviously the previous game is also still probably living in his mind as well. It was such a good one. Okay, he's got 3 trebs. He might take out Red's castle here. Still only 16 armies, 0 on golds. About to have a few more villagers on stone. 130 villagers versus 44. Dang. I think Z40's macro, micro, his transitions to unit types, his ability to bank gold has been amazing this series. And he will move on to the big boys, or, you know, the league below the big boys, depending on how big we're talking. He moves on to gold. With that result, moved his whole way through silver in the month of July. Congratulations to Z40. I'm really excited to see this guy. Here's the thing. He seems really prepped for the maps, and he's got some unique strats. And what always happens every single time in gold and platinum. So again, gold's going to be ranked 25 to 48 in the world, right? He's going to be slotted into one of those groups. The big names, they don't train, right? They're like, okay, I'll get some wins. So the goal for Z40, and same with anyone who's moving from silver to gold, is just don't get relegated in gold. Because they go from winning silver to really struggling against the gold players. So I'm really going to have my eye out on him the first 2 weeks in particular. I actually won't be able to cast because I will be in Australia. But it would be interesting to see if maybe he could do something like this against a really strong player. Anyways, what a run from Eli, though. Again, this guy was not expected to get to the 4th round. I hope this encourages him and he continues to play. I think if he combines his wackiness and like some of his off-meta strats with a little bit more meta from time to time, like I think he could have a lot more confidence in his ability, and try out some different strategies and get better, right? Absolutely can get better. Exciting to see someone that's 2K be able to make it to the final round there and beat so many big opponents. Resources collected in this game, insanely strong from Red. 55,000 resources collected. And it was all on the back of that, the little Donjon Pike play that he had. Eli finally cleared up all the sergeants, all the pikes, probably felt great, but at that point he was 30 or 40 villagers behind. Another game where Eli has the better KD. So that could tell you that maybe, okay, Castellate sergeants aren't OP, but it allows you to get a lead, which was obviously why Red ended up winning the game, due to the economy. Good stuff. Yeah, Z40, very strong, great player. And he'll be rooting for Cloud, his Taiwanese, I don't know if they're teammates, but another player from Taiwan who I think he was probably training with. Cloud will be playing Fire this week as well. So you could have 2 players from Taiwan going into the top 48 in the world. One final thing before I let you all go. I am headed to Australia. And according to my YouTube analytics, there are quite a few people watching from Australia. And I thought, if I'm headed over there, that we should do something cool. So if you happen to be anywhere near Sydney, Australia, I'm hosting an Age of Empires 2 meetup on August 12th at 7 p.m. local time. There will be drinks, there will be food. You'll get to hang out with other Age of Empires 2 fans and get a chance to meet me, take some photos and all that. I put all the information in the description if you're interested in this. Ultimately, the goal is just to have a good time, but if there's computers there, we might do some gaming too. So again, just check the link and buy a ticket if you're interested. Would love to meet you, and thanks for watching.